Well, if I can answer the question, I would tell men specifically because men are the ones who're supposed to choose a wife. We're talking about marriage. How to get? I think your question was how to get married and stay married,
Mm.
right, Jr. How would you tell your son, your daughters coming
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
so they won't end up in divorce at a young,
yeah.
trying to get married at a young age? So basically, I would say for the men specifically, if you want to be married, given you want to be married, you're young, and you want to stay married, before you start dating, make sure you're in a position, you know, make sure you're self-sustaining. Make sure you're in a position already before you even start dating, ensuring you're self-sustaining and you're able to provide for a family. This is before you even start. Don't even vet for a wife until you've done this work.
Did you do that?
And did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that. And then whenever you everything else needs to everything else, all the compatibility and stuff, making sure this person's the right person. Now you got to sit down and have a conversation and vet and figure out how to cooperate. But you need to have those basic things need to be down for men. And then you figure out, okay, can she fit with me? You know what I'm saying? Am I willing to provide for her and have a family with her? Can she cooperate? Is she submissive? Is she willing to be down with me? And then that's when you take it to that, you start proposing and getting engaged and stuff. But men need to have those basic things down because I think the reason for I don't know, I have to look it up, but for these young marriages, I think the reason for these divorces is finances, if I'm not mistaken. I know for a whole in general is finances, but I don't know from ages 21 to 25 or whatever age that they're getting divorced at a young age at a high rate. But I would just say make sure that you're capable of providing for your family. Those basic things need to be done before you even start vetting a wife.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I would think that there has to be a level of understanding if you get married young that like all right, so when me and Mr. Lego was joking about having kids young, right? Now I'm sure I think he said that he had some other things going on in his life. But when I had kids young, but the reality is that while I had the energy and all of that to deal with my kids and all of that, we were broke. But there was a level of understanding. She was broke, I was broke, we was broke, kids broke. You know what I mean? So there has to be a level of understanding that you have to go through the lumps of life before you get to the point where success comes into play. Because now, yeah, we started off broke, but now we own a house, and I mean, we still quintessentially broke. You know what I mean? But like, it's not the, it's just it's levels to this shit. But like, we live a normal life. You know what I mean? Like, but when you have kids, if you get married young and you have kids young, you have to have the understanding that you're not coming out the gates with a shit ton of money. You're not coming out the gates like that. There's progression in life. You earn money over time. So as long as you have that understanding, you should be able to make it. Finances, as long as you get the basic shit done, finances should never be a problem unless you got outlandish expectations. What people tend to do is they live outside their means when they're young.
Exactly.
Or I wouldn't even say that they live outside their means because it's impossible to live outside your means when you're actually broke. But you have lofty expectations and champagne taste with beer money. And you
And
don't
I
accept the fact that you have beer money and just get the fucking beer. You go and you try to, and you want champagne. You can't get champagne. And you look at your partner and say, why can't we get champagne?
Well, I agree with you about the understanding. Whenever you in a relationship and you might not be able to provide, but if it's me right here sitting right here today and I'm talking to a young man and I'm giving my recommendation, I don't feel comfortable giving them a recommendation to go look for a wife when they can't provide. So yeah, inevitably, obviously, it's gonna take you to go and do some work, and you probably not even gonna get married young. To be honest, you probably gonna end up probably getting married around 30. You know what I'm saying? So that I feel more comfortable telling men to go and do it that way because I believe that model works. I think it's taking a risk whenever you can't provide the lifestyle that the ideal woman you want to be with may want.
and if you can't provide as a man at some point, you're going to implode emotionally and start blaming your wife or your girl or your kids. Like, damn, man, y'all the reason why I can't. And then you're just gonna be looking out the window like, man, I want to be out there instead of in here, because in your mind you have a certain sense of escapism. Instead of you busting your ass getting a second job, you're gonna think that the world is calling you, and you just want a better life so you can escape this one. But you go out there, you're going to get treated the same way, because if you're broke here, you're going to be broke there. So we have to be careful that we don't try to escape our problems thinking that over here or over there, like the passport bros, oh, I'm gonna go get a woman over there. No, they getting robbed and killed over there. Like, you can't escape yourself. So you got to get your stuff together, get your money right, because whether you married, single, or whatever, your life is going to be trash if you are trash as a person. You have to upgrade yourself regardless of what's going on in your environment, because you're going to respond to your environment, and your environment is going to respond to you. It's like, if you ain't got no heat and it's cold outside, your house going to be cold. So at the end of the day, you got to turn on heat. You got to make some shit happen inside your house first, because what's going on around you is going to affect you if you don't have a base of whether it's money or mental fortitude. The environment is just going to eat your ass up.
So when we talking to young people, right? And we're talking to young men, and we're saying a state of provision, right? What exactly are we referring to when we say provide? Because if I'm putting food on my table, but you happen to be able to put steak on your table, but I put fucking pork chops on my table, we're both still providing. You may be able to, you're heating a 5-bedroom house that you own. I'm heating a 3-bedroom apartment that I rent.
You
We're
talking
both
about luxury.
right. So that's why I said, when I say that broke, I mean, this is where you at. You're not middle class because you have to graduate into that. That's not something you start at. You grow into that. As you grow older, you know what I mean? There's a reason why middle class are most likely between the ages of 35 and I think it's like 47 or 56 or some shit like that. I can't remember the exact ages. It's because, is it 45? Yeah, 30. There's a reason why it's between those ages, because that's the next stage where people tend to be in the middle class. But there's a reason, like, you go and you get IKEA furniture. Sometimes you shop at Walmart for your kids' clothes. You graduate into being able to buy maybe a pair. There's a reason why Pro Wings used to be a thing back in the day. Everybody couldn't get Nikes. Some motherfuckers could just buy Pro Wings.
So to answer your question, when we talk about provisions and levels of provision, I'm not necessarily talking about the luxury part of it. I'm saying, okay, look, if I make this amount of money, or we bringing in this amount of resources, our lifestyle has to fit it. You know what I'm saying? We can't have Gucci and Louis and roll around in BMWs and Mercedes. We got to deal with the Pontiac, and Toyota, whatever, until we can elevate our lifestyle. And that means that she has to be cooperative, because more often than not, it's the woman who tends to want the lifestyle to be elevated. She wants to be able to compete with her peers on a level of lifestyle. It becomes attractive to her. And she feel like, okay, you need to make more money so I can have nicer things. And that's fine, because some women feel that they're entitled to it, and they have a right to ask for it. If that's what you want, that's what you want. Can you do it? Can you provide it? Can you be a man in your household and say, hey, look, I can't provide that right now, because then we'll be above our expense threshold. Then we'll start going to debt. Can you be man enough to say no? You get what I'm saying? Can she be woman enough in a cooperative role in the marriage to say, yes, okay, baby? And then you responded like, look, I can't do it now, but later on, I'm gonna be able to do that. I'm right now all the things you want, on where later on I'm gonna be able to get those things. But that cooperative
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So what I would say to that then is what I would explain to young people is to teach them reality, rather than having, like, social media isn't real. Your real reality, like, for instance, if you're a parent that's gone to trade school, more often than not, your kids are going to do the same thing. College education is an elite institution. So to teach your kids reality is to tell them, hey, look, there's programs at your school that will get you to go to college. But the reality is that if you do not do this, student loans is in your future. And if you don't want student loans, I don't advise you to go to college. Reality is saying, hey, you in college right now, you're searching for a guy. The best time for you to find a husband is in college, where all the men at your level would be, all y'all are going to grow pretty much the same level. It's teaching your kids reality that way, that they don't come out there into the world with lofty expectations. Because what I would tell my daughter is, the shit that I provide for you, I got it because of hard work in my and I progressed longer in my age group. Your husband at 23 is not going to be able to do the same things for you that I did, or not going to do the same things for you that I'm doing for my wife and my family. Y'all going to get there because that's what I'm raising y'all to do. I'm raising you to be able to naturally progress through life. But the reality is that doesn't come up front.
Yo,
So the reality is the work. So you going to see student loans in the future, or you going to maintain a 3.5, 4.0?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that means you got to do the work. That's the reality behind it. You get what you work for.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all something. When my daughters would meet a young boy or whatever, right? And the boy ain't got no job. And I'm like, what are you doing? He ain't got no job. And they'll be like, Daddy, he's only this age. And the first thing I turn around and say, well, I had a job when I was 13. What are you talking about? Well, that's a different era. I'm like, it's easier now. We got the internet. What the hell are you talking about? Like, why don't he have a job at 13? Like, what is he doing? You know, and they'll literally argue with me and tell me that when I was 13, things was different.
Wait, weren't you selling drugs?
Huh?
Weren't you selling drugs?
Well,
no, shut down.
No. Cut grass. He's cut grass.
No.
Cut grass. And shoveling.